Ronan Kazi, got the old the old new came back. What I want to do is follow up yesterday's video with another video, and what you're seeing here is I have Fedora. I've changed the wallpaper already on my computer. I'm making the virtual machine. You can see I have 2 virtual machines. I'm making sure everything's all set with here, with the amount of RAM and the number of processors, so we have a good experience. I think we're going to do Fedora first. And what's the purpose of the last 2 videos of what's the difference between Linux distributions? There can be a lot of, I think the kids call it FOMO. There can be a lot of angst that you might pick the wrong distribution. And what I'm trying to tell you, you're not going to pick the wrong distribution because it's Linux. It's all based on the same things. They're just subtle differences. And what's great about Fedora is this distribution is going to be a little bit different because it's targeted to a different set of users. I'm not going to go into why people make distributions. It's why you have hobbies. People have different desires, and they just pick something to go behind, support it, and do that. So you can see we've booted up Fedora now. And it's using GNOME as its interface. GNOME has the interface in the bottom. But one thing I'm going to tell you about, so I'm going to go over to file managers. One thing I liked about Fedora, when I scale the size of my virtual container, it scaled with it. All the other ones were a set size. So there's some nice features about Fedora, which I would say, if I was going to run it, it doesn't matter if you're going to run it standalone. The file manager is the file manager. And so I'm going up to the left to hit that little white dot in there, and that lets me pull up the menu. So now I'm going to do the browser, and I'm going to go to Distro Watch. It has Firefox by default, but you can add Brave, you can add Chromium. For those of you that use Google Chrome, you're going to load Chromium, and everything's going to be fine. And here I'm going into my version of Firefox. I didn't change my interface to look like GNOME. I just am keeping mine the same. And I'm going to go to Distro Watch here. Again, it's the same thing, right? You have the same experience. Why would I pick one over the other? That's why I kind of went with Catchy. I had played around a lot with a lot of these distros. I really wanted to game, and I wanted to focus on like Steam, and all of these can load Steam. At one point, I told you I was sticking with Ubuntu. This is, now I'm looking at their, this is how I see all their applications in a graphical setting. And then I'm searching for how to do their updates. And on normal, you see, hopefully I'm going to get my, maybe I'm going to try to make it look like theirs for a second. Partly in this is if you really like GNOME and you wanted to use Catchy, you could do that. I told you why I used KDE. So I'm struggling here for a second. Yep, I'm going to go back. I'm going to try to find the software updater. Fedora is different enough, has a different package. Well, I guess there's LibreOffice because I was stuck YouTube. And you know, previously I've already loaded LibreOffice. So one of the things that I want you to think about is, again, everything that you want to do is going to be available to do it, right? I need business applications. I got to write papers. I got to respond to stuff. I need to open PDFs. All that stuff is available. The other thing on all this, almost all of these operating systems are free. There's a case with Zornos where you could pay $47 to get it, and it would have a little more customization to make it, easier to look at Windows, Mac, or a Linux interface. Let's see, third time's a charm. I think I'm just going to guess on the software. Maybe I'm doing System Monitor. Eventually I'm going to try to do the software. You've seen the System Monitor on both systems before. I was reading a blog where it said you should donate. These folks are doing it for free. So at a certain point, you might donate some money to your favorite distro to help support it. Right? They're doing it for free. And so that might be a way to keep, if you like your operating system, a way to keep your operating system rolling. You don't have to, though. And I apologize that I'm struggling here a little bit. And there I get the software finally. And it's a graphical. Now, previously in the last video, I said that Cashy has a thing called Octi. Octi is just, I don't even know why they even have that in there. It's the same thing, but it has a little more icons on it, but nothing like this. So the difference that you're going to have between these, and look, I'm going to load up Zoom. Now, here's a fundamental difference in Fedora. Fedora is kind of targeted at business users also, right? And I'm going to pull up the package manager for Cashy. And there's Steam in both of them, right? You already know that I've loaded Steam on my system already. I'll look it up there and you can see it. That can be a deciding factor. If you have to have a graphical package manager, then you do it. You would switch that. I want to also talk lightly on like my interface, my experience with the interface. At one point, I decided, I'm going to turn, there's Discord. I'm going to turn my interface on Linux into a Windows-based. And then I'm thinking, if you think about Windows, and it changes pretty much with each version, Windows 3.1, Windows 3.11, Windows 95, Windows 98, Windows 2000, Vista, Windows 8, Windows 10, Windows 11. We shouldn't be afraid to try new interface things for our interface managers for our computers. And this is what I'm pointing out in Zoom. Zoom is by default in Fedora in their package. For business people, they're going to do it. It just makes it a little bit simpler. I showed you can go to a website to load Zoom on distributions that don't have it in their package manager. So, do I need it to look exactly like Windows? Well, if you have to update from Windows 10 to, you don't have to, but then you're going to be vulnerable. You don't have to update from Windows 10 to Windows 11, but you're going to suffer. It's a new interface. Things are different, right? So I don't want you to get stuck on, I have to have it look a certain way. I also pulled down themes for KDE that could make it look like a Mac or Windows. And when I thought about it, I said to myself, it's nonsensical. You can do it if you want, but it's nonsensical because you're going to have to learn something new with every version of Windows that comes out. A great example is the latest version of iOS number 26. They had this glass look, and it was horrible, but that's how they changed it. And they added it, so the interface was going to be a little bit different. So I think I'm done with Fedora, and now I'm going to load Lubuntu. The reason I load Lubuntu because it had LXQT interface, so you're going to get to see a different interface now. More traditional like Windows where you have it in the bottom and it pulls up And it's going to be similar to Cinnamon that you saw. And it's a lighter. The one thing about Ubuntu, while you can add different Windows managers, it just has whole different distributions with the window manager already pre-configured. So if you didn't want to do that. And, oh gosh, that window went out, so you're going to see my dark face for the rest of it. And there it goes, it loads up. And I've already downloaded this wallpaper to, I learned my lessons from the fiasco. I wanted to cut and paste it from virtual machine to machine. It wouldn't work, so I just did a screenshot so you can see kind of a window I tried to hide over on the left. Okay, so now they both have the dumb same. So now we're in Lubuntu. Lubuntu is a lighter weight. Oh, I'm sorry, that's just a fail right there. There we go. It's a lighter Windows manager. If you have an older computer with less resources, it's going to be easier to run. You can remember this looks a lot like Cinnamon over on Linux Mint. And honestly, Linux Mint is based on Ubuntu. This is Ubuntu, but I think, like I've told you, there's some ideas that, Ubuntu might not be the greatest. I struggle with this interface because it's so old to me, and the names of the packages aren't the same. So I have a hard time finding what the package manager is. So you're going to see that I struggle quite a bit with this. It would be like telling me to go back to Windows 95 or Windows 98. It's been so long and there's been so many versions since there that I just can't do it. So I know I'm going to get on Firefox. I'm going to go to Distro Watch on that. And you can see that maybe I screwed up the virtual machine on the Lubuntu. I don't want you to be afraid of Linux. If you didn't do it last weekend, you're going to do it this weekend. You're going to download an ISO. How did I get the VirtualBox to work? Okay, you could download VirtualBox on your Windows machine, and then you can download the ISOs. And then when you create the VirtualBox, you point it to the ISO, it loads the ISO. Either, you notice I did try these, they call them live ISOs. They'll let you run it in memory, or you can install it on your virtual machine. I just run it live. And I'm showing you here again that I can see it by the icon view. And I probably won't do this for any more. I felt bad that, I just want you to see there's really no difference. So why did I choose what I chose? I had a very specific case. I had a Lenovo Legion Go handheld, and I wanted to replace the Windows on there, which I did, and I wanted to run that same operating system on all my PCs, which I did. I've become so comfortable with it now, it's like I just can't even imagine going back. And that's what's going to happen to you. Whatever you pick, you're going to like. So the part where you have to put the homework in is what kind of interface do I want? What kind of icons? How do I want to see it? Of course, you can change, and not all of you may not know this, you can always change your background, right? That's pretty easy to do that. And then you can change the theme. You can change the icons. You can, in modern computers, you can pretty much change everything. If you want to look like a Mac circa 1984, you probably can get someone that's done that for you. So, these last two videos, what you should get out of it, and YouTube, I got caught by my own trap. I have created a video and uploaded it, but not published it yet. That is in between this video and that other video. But I decided it'd be better to do this video. So you're going to hear me talk in the next video, or whenever that video gets published, if it ever gets published. Hey, it was supposed to go in between this video and the other video. That's why I try not to get too far ahead. Most of my stuff's evergreen. I try not to reference things like yesterday I said, but I'm pretty excited about this stuff. And for those of you that come here to watch me play games, I'm still going to game. I got a bunch of games going on. But I wanted to do this because someone had given me some feedback. Hey, I'm on Windows 10. I don't know what to do, or what should I do? Can I run this? Can I run that? And what I wanted to show them, I don't want you to necessarily do exactly what I'm doing. I want you to do whatever you want to do. And that's kind of what's important. I think Catchy, I spent the time and did a bunch of research, loaded this 1,000,000 times, loaded the other ones 1,000,000 times. I could really tell you why I'm not a big fan of Bazarite. But when I went to load it, because that's what I was going to load, it was impossible for me to figure out. And that's okay. So I'm in the window manager here. I think it's taken a long time for it to pull up the icons, right? So don't fault that on Lubuntu. That's on how I made the virtual machine. But it doesn't have Zoom either. You're going to have to download Zoom, and you can do all that. Again, the basic subsystem of Linux. Here's maybe some subtle differences. Okay, so let's get into the weeds about what really is different. How up-to-date your kernel is going to be dependent on what distribution you get. I don't think that's a big thing. If you think about Red Hat and Ubuntu have you'll see something like LTS, long-term support. They support those versions of Linux and they have a stable kernel. They don't keep updating their kernel because they're going to freeze it in one spot and support it. I want the latest changes in the kernel, right? I don't want to wait. If there's a vulnerability, I don't want to wait. They might patch those vulnerabilities, but I want all the capabilities I can all the time. And I'll tell you a story in another day on that. I don't got tons of time left on this. But suffice to say, in general, just pick whatever one you want. Really, the window manager. I like KDE. You can move it around. You can move around with GNOME. You can do it around that Zornos, the same thing. I'd advise you, don't necessarily get stuck that you want to make it look exactly like Windows 7 or Windows 10 or whatever, because there's been a lot of advances since then. So, YouTube, I appreciate you as always. Please like, subscribe, share, unsubscribe, resubscribe, maybe donate if you want to. The code's back in the beginning. I really appreciate everyone that's watching these Linux ones, and I'll do more as it comes along. Thanks, Ronan Kazi out.